Welcome back to SoulBack. This is the R&B podcast. Kyle here. I have Tom and Ed with me. What is going on, guys?
What's up, players? What are you two up to today?
Oh, you know, I'm just fighting for my effing life over here. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
You got 30 years in this?
Moving on.
30.
Listen, it's been 40 seconds and we already acting up. What is going on?
Man. You know what? We've been doing this for like 3 or 4 years now, so that sort of is like fighting for your effing life.
Every time I record this podcast, I'm fighting for my effing life with you two.
So, guys, I'm going to put it out there now. We are not giving R. Kelly a Playa Please for that interview because, I mean, I know it's serious and all, but that interview was the funniest thing I've seen all week. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. It's like, it's hilarious, but it's so sad. The whole thing is depressing. And then I don't understand why this interview, at least at time of recording, has not aired in full, but they keep showing snippets of it like it's a trailer for a freaking Marvel movie. Just put the whole interview out.
Right.
Damn. Man. If you guys haven't seen it, you guys need to watch that R. Kelly interview. It is, it's quite something. But what's also something, guys, is that, number one, Ed, we did an R&B Trivia last week with Tom, and he got 0 out of 3. And I don't know how much time we have today. We'll see how we go when we get to the end of this. If we have time, I'll put you to the test. But like I said, we got more things to come, such as the new music. There's so much new music that came out this week, so I'm just going to quickly go through it. But Ed, I know you wanted to touch on the Solange album that came out. I already gave my 2 cents and I ranted about it, and Tom did as well. But what are your thoughts on this Solange album, because you missed out last week?
Oh my gosh, the Solange album. Look, player. Now, first of all, and I'm going to keep this brief because it has been talked about to death, and let's just get it out of the way. I mean, the music sounds like something they play in the background of a hood funeral home. So if you want some music to fold your clothes to and to wash your dishes to, this is for you. However, that still doesn't mean it's a bad album. You know your boy. I have listened to lots and lots and lots of bad, sloppy albums. And this isn't a bad or sloppy album. It's just an album that had a unique direction that just did not work at all. And it kind of, and I'm not talking about stylistically, but it kind of reminds me of my personal opinions of D'Angelo's Voodoo. Voodoo is an album that, as an R&B fan, people either love it or hate it because it's a different style of R&B. It's basically like this dark, sweaty, moody funk. And it's just not my style of music. Doesn't mean that it's poorly done. Just not for me. The Solange album, I see what she was trying to do, but it's just not for me. So it wasn't that it was poorly done. It's just not a taste that I can accept well. Don't sit well on a brother's palate. Tastes like okra and pears. Garbage. But again, when I reviewed the album, you can check it out on soulandstereo.com. I gave it a okay review because technically it's not a bad album. It's just an album that I don't really appreciate the sound and direction. So, more or less, my thoughts. If you like it, have fun, but I doubt I'll ever listen to it again.
Tom, are we allowed to make that same excuse for every album that comes out? It's just not for me. It might be a good album, but it's just not for me. Isn't that how you felt about the Layover album by Jagged Edge?
Oh my, why would you bring that up?
Oh, I'll bring it up.
The Layover album, this actually is a perfect transition because we featured Jagged Edge's new single, I'm sorry. And people were hoping that it wasn't going to be like the Layover. This is not our words, this is their words. Because the Layover was just so far from what they've done before, artistry-wise. There was auto-tune, it was trap and hip-hop. Unfortunately, the reaction to the new single was just as poor. And I'm actually surprised that people have been speaking up so negatively. I mean, I feel like fans in the past either would just say, oh, we like it because it's Jagged Edge, or just not say anything at all because they don't want to diss the artist. But, man, we have some smart readers. And they were just going in on that song, on that new song Jagged Edge has out, Closest Thing to Perfect. Ed, you heard it?
No, I heard it. And since y'all won't do it, I'll gladly do it for you. You know how I just said that Solange's album is an album that isn't bad but isn't for me? This song is bad. And I can break down why. Because when you look at the songwriting, it's okay. It's not the best they've done, but it's okay. But the auto-tune is so unnecessary, it becomes gimmicky. And the difference between Solange creating a total body of work that, and I'm talking from front to bottom, has a specific sound, specific production, is specifically sparse and airy, and one verse looped over and over. It's kind of maddening, but that was intentional. This is, let me put out a song, slap some auto-tune over it, kind of mask any vocal imperfections that it may have, and then kind of ride the auto-tune wave. We know they can do better, because if you listen to J.E. Heartbreak 2, come on now. But this is just in the lane of that Layover album. And the reason why, and if you got beef, you know where you can go, E.T. Bowser on Twitter. The reason why we're so hard on J.E. is because we know they can do better. And they just did better a couple years ago. So to crank out this stuff that's so quick, so microwavable, so McDonald's, so fast food, from artists who have given us straight up classics, is not acceptable. And when they did it once and it didn't work and they had a horrible reaction, why are you going to keep doing it? I don't know what's going on in Atlanta, because Usher doing the same thing. Stop doing stuff that isn't working with your fan base. Y'all can do better. I don't like the song, if you couldn't tell.
Damn. Well, there was one fan that liked the song and wrote that he liked it, and then he got jumped by like 6 of our readers on Facebook. That was pretty funny.
Oh my goodness! Led by the authority of R&B, DJ Soulchild, our boy.
Oh my gosh! And now see, that's a different. Like, if you like it, you like what you like. If you like it, that's fine. I'm not gonna beat you over the head. The only time I go at you is when you try to claim that it's so genius and you can't understand the brilliance behind it. Then I'll go to war. But if somebody likes that old auto-tune garbage, let them like it.
Anyway, I think we took part in the jumping as well, so I'm not going to say anything. Anyway.
Oh,
I think we got hacked, actually. I don't think that was us.
No.
Okay. Someone hacked our Twitter. Another record that came out, Avant, he's back with a new single, and I'm going to try to read this because it's grammatically incorrect here. Not Gone Blues. And Ed, I feel like Avant has had some grammatically incorrect songs previously. What about the classic Minds Do?
Poor Avant. Yeah, sometimes it's struggling, but I can't talk because one of our favorite artists on this podcast can't spell to save his life. I just want to sing. Ooh, need to hit that through spell check. But,
oh my goodness.
Oh, listen, the man hasn't put a space between words since, I don't know, since grade school. Why everything run together and then lowercase? But that's
artistry, man.
Oh my, now it's artistry. Anyway, the Avant song is actually pretty okay. It has a very vintage vibe to it that I think works well, and it works well with his vocals. It's not my favorite, but I think that it's a nice different sound, and it works okay.
And he's signed to our boy Tim Kelly, who we had on the podcast last week, and that's a new label deal for him, so that's pretty exciting. I thought it was a solid record. I was glad it was more in line with some of his more vintage sounding stuff, and I think people should like it.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that record sound like one of his old records? I think Don't Take Your Love Away. It's like the same song.
I did notice that a bit. I did actually notice that.
Okay. So it's not me just being ignorant. Thank you.
No.
Okay. We got one more record that I really want to get into, which is Robin Thicke. He is back with a new record.
Boy.
That's What Love Can Do. Now, this guy has been through a lot over the last couple of years. He's been through a highly publicized divorce. Basically saw his career go from 100 to 0, and now he's trying to crank it back up. He's dropped he's dropped some songs over the last couple of years, but I think this is his official single, Tom.
It looks like it, yeah. I mean, this is the second single he released from this project he's got coming out independently, which is interesting. So, Ed, what did you think of the style he's going with on this music?
I really liked it. And honestly, most of the singles that he has dropped since his big fall from grace have been pretty solid. And listen, I've been as critical of Robin as anybody else out there. But the thing is, the talent is still there. And he can make a good record when he wants to. And more often than not, the songs are good. I thought this one was pretty good. It's definitely one that I think after with a few more listens, it'll continue to grow on me. But it's not at all a bad direction. It's probably the direction he should go in, and it has me interested and looking forward to the next project. I don't know if we still supposed to be mad at him. I can't remember if the Wokes told me if he's off the cancel list yet, but I'm ready for the new project. I think it'll be interesting.
Yep. And it's funny because I did a poll on our Facebook page, and I asked, I listed a bunch of white artists who sing soul music, and I asked, which one of these is pop and which one of these is R&B? There's a lot of people that call Robin Thicke pop music, so we're just going to ignore the fact that he gave us like 13 years of his life to R&B.
That's how it gets confused. Like, you'll come out with one pop record or one record that'll cross over, and then suddenly you're a pop guy. And it's annoying because people don't realize that you can make different style of music. Missy Elliott makes rap songs and pop songs and R&B songs. You can be multifaceted. That's okay.
Yep. So we have two groups who have individual releases. Some artists have gone solo or are releasing solo projects. One being our favorite, one that we talk about a lot, Jodeci. We know that KC is releasing a solo project soon, and we talked about JoJo doing the same. Well, JoJo has released a snippet to his new single, Special. And Tom, I know you really like the song, right?
It's interesting. We got a chance to hear it for the first time. Most of us want to hear what he sounded like now. We didn't even know if he could still sing. We didn't even know if he could still talk at this point. So it's good to hear that he can still sing. As some of our readers pointed out, though, his voice definitely sounds a bit different than his heyday. But I felt like on this song, he keeps it in a range where it's acceptable. He's not trying to do too much. Ed, what did you think?
Playa. Listen, JoJo's been through a lot. Listen, JoJo's been through a lot, so I'm behaving. But just being honest, if you were to just play that song, I would not have known that was JoJo. Like, his voice just sounds so different. So if you go into it expecting to hear 1992 vocals, you're going to be sorely disappointed. But it sounds very different. I'll be nice and leave it at that.
Weren't you? The rumor has it you were going to give this song a Play It Please. Is this true, Ed?
Sometimes there are facts based in rumors, but I'll let y'all call it a rumor.
All right. We got a couple more records that I quickly want to brief on or skim through here. Not because they're not good records, just we're running short on time. So I'm just gonna name them. Tom and Ed, you guys give me your first impressions, and then we'll just move forward. Tao of Drew Hill dropped a solo record. Whatever Happened to Love. What do you guys think?
I haven't heard this one yet, but we've got a couple of Tao fans in the Soul and Stereo Cypher, and they are super excited about this one. So I got to check on this one. I'll have to check it out.
It's a good song. It's a good song. It's worth checking out. It's kind of a bit old school influenced, but that kid can really sing.
Absolutely. The next one we have is Lion Babe, Western World featuring Raekwon. We love Lion Babe.
Yes, I love me some Lion Babe. My wife is obsessed with Lion Babe. She's trying to get Lion Babe down here to perform because she wants to see him. I'm not sure if they've even been to Atlanta yet, but I really love this one, and I can't wait for their new project that's coming out. Cosmic Wind will be dropping in a couple weeks.
And Tom, we got to quickly talk about this one. And guys, here's a little bit of backstory. So for the longest time, Tom was using a BlackBerry phone, and I don't think they had emojis on it. But ever since he got... Tom, what phone do you have now?
It's a Google Pixel XL2.
So he has a smartphone now, like a real smartphone. And because of that, he's able to use emojis, and he abuses the emojis now. So when he was talking about this song, he put like 20 flame emojis to talk about how fire this song was. Tom, is this song fire? This Lipstick Gypsy song?
First of all, First of all, the last BlackBerry I had was Android, so I had emojis. I just recently adopted using emojis. Second of all, Lipstick Gypsy is on fire. This is their second great song they've had this year. They had a couple great ones last year. I think Justin Timberlake is working his magic behind the scenes. We heard he was working with the group, so we're just excited to hear more good music from them. This new song is called Damn It.
Damn it. Now for some news for everyone here. Monica's set to drop her new album. Tom, does it have a release date yet?
It does not. She announced it on her Instagram, and she didn't really give much detail about it. It's called Chapter 38. She's 38 years old, and it's her follow-up to Code Red, her first independent album. So it'll be interesting to see. There were some mixed reviews from our readers about the music she's been putting out. Her new single, Commitment, is already on the charts in the top 20. So it'll be interesting to see what she cooks up as an independent artist.
Absolutely. Now, guys, I forgot to mention, we do have a special guest coming in now, so I want everyone to grab their soda and their popcorn. Like I said, every week we try to bring in a special guest, someone who's brought SoulBack. And Tom, I think we have someone today who has done that. Who do we have?
We have the amazing Montell Jordan with us, hitmaker for so many years now, has done so much for R&B, and we're really glad to speak with him today. Welcome, Montell.
What's up, everybody? It's good to be with you. Glad to be able to share this podcast time with you and with your listeners. So thank you for having me.
Now, Montell, we always like to dig into the history a bit and start out with a bit of a curveball question. So we're going to just go right into it. We were reading many years ago, you almost had an incident that almost cut your career short a bit early on stage. Do you remember anything about that?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. This was my very first tour where I was out on the road with Mary J. Blige, TLC, and Boys to Men. And the way that went was no one believed early on, my label, no one believed that, as a new recording artist that you could land a tour like that. And my wife, she's a beast, and she went and somehow got me as being the opening act on that tour. And so as we began taking off, we found that a couple of months, maybe a couple of weeks or months into the tour, Mary J. Blige had a single that blew up, and so she went off the tour, and so it was just me, TLC, and Boys to Men. And then a little later after that, my friend T-Boz had got sickle cell. She was dealing with some health issues, and so TLC went off the tour, and then it was me and Boys to Men. Long story short, we got to the end of that tour, which lasted about almost 2 years. We were in Vancouver, Canada, and I took a fall off the back of a stage and literally almost died in Vancouver, Canada, just one day before we were supposed to fly out to start my tour in Australia. So needless to say, I didn't have any broken bones, no concussion, nothing, but I literally fell off the back of a 7-foot stage with my hands up above my head. So it was crazy, and I probably should not have lived through it. But I believe that the prayers of everybody in the arena that day kind of saved my life. So I talk about it. Basically, I say Boys to Men saved my life.
Amazing.
Wow. That's crazy. Man, I'm glad that you survived that because you've made such an impact on R&B. And Ed, we always talk about how Montell is probably the most underrated artist of the 90s. Can you chime in, Ed?
Yeah, and one thing that kind of drives me crazy about the convos that often come with Montell is that we love to throw around, and not necessarily soul and stereo, or, I got soul, but there are lots of conversations that are like one-hit wonders, and then we talk about this is how we do it. Nah, y'all got to do your research because Montell has been behind. Let's Ride was number one. Let's Get It On Tonight was number one. He's had a lot of success in the gospel arena as well. So it's weird how we kind of think of one song that's just so gigantic that it kind of overshadows a very successful gold and platinum career. So, Montell, my question to you is, we know how huge This Is How We Do It is, both the song and the album, but coming off the success of that, it feels like what I call kind of a the Thriller complex, where no matter how great you have the material that comes after that, people always compare it to that first thing that just overshadows everything. How has that affected your career going forward, where you're just continually making hit after hit after hit, but in their mind, this is how we do it?
Yeah, well, you know what's crazy is it normally when that comment is made, it's normally just you know, when you use the word ignorant, it doesn't mean that someone is stupid. It doesn't mean someone is not educated. Ignorance means I'm not aware. I'm not aware of something. So I think a lot of people are just unaware of, you know, the accomplishments musically that we've been able to contribute. So like when you say that Let's Ride was a number one, or Get It On Tonight was a number one, I wrote number one songs and contribute to those. Sisqo had a song, Incomplete, that's a number one record. Deborah Cox, Nobody's Supposed to Be Here, co-wrote that. It's a number one record. So when I hear the term one hit wonder, I think, do you mean number one hit wonder or one hit? Are you which number one hit are you talking about? So, you know, that's the way I've kind of navigated it, you know, myself. But I think to answer your question directly, I think the challenge was because This Is How We Do It was my first record that was a big number one record. You start feeling like I have to chase that record, and if I don't have something bigger or something greater than it, then I'm not as accomplished, and I can never meet the expectation. And so, you know, it's different if you know, maybe get that later down the road. I came out that way. So I think that's, if there's a stigma attached to me musically, it's the impact of that first record that hit in 1995 in the summertime, and it struck a chord with people, and it just became something, you know, it became something, I want to say iconic, but musically, I think it's one of the top 100 party records of the last century or something. Billboard did this thing. So, I mean, no matter how many hits you have, no matter how many great records you have, there are just certain records that stand out in people's psyche as being the soundtrack to their lives. And so I'm cool with that. You know, I love when people have at least researched to be able to say that's not all that guy did. So from that standpoint, I'm just hoping that I don't have to say it, but that people like you or a podcast can help educate to be able to say, oh, yeah, I remember that record. I remember that record, too. Oh, that was in Save the Last. Oh, that was in, you know, Freedom Riders. Oh, that was, you know, all those different things are cool. But it's good when you don't have to see it yourself, when someone else is able to say, hey, you haven't looked into the depth of what this person has been able to contribute to music.
Well, you might not say it, but I'll say it for you. That song is iconic. And when we talk about top party records, that is probably not even top 100. That's like top 3.
Oh, wow. I agree with you. But I thank you. It's been a blessing of a record to have. So thank you.
Right. Now, Montell, there's one record on one of your albums that we talk about constantly on the podcast, and I don't think a lot of people might know about it. They may have missed out, but it's the record with Case, Coulda Woulda Shoulda. That record there, that's a great one.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite records. From a writing standpoint, I mean, it never saw the light of day. It never got a video or was never fully released as a single. But for me and for Case, who is still a friend to this day, it's one of my favorite written compositions. You know, I would say for me, probably top 5, just because I love the words to the song, the chorus. If I could have seen inside her, I could have seen her broken heart, and I would have held on tighter, and we wouldn't be falling apart. I should have said I love her 1,000 times a day, and I wouldn't be sitting here coulda, woulda, shoulda my whole damn life away. To me, that's like poetry. So one of my favorites, definitely.
Absolutely. But 2 of everyone's favorites that grew up in that 90s R&B. Tom, I'm going to put you on the spot. Ed and Montell, you guys can follow after, but I got to ask, which song do you prefer? And Montell mentioned it earlier. He wrote both. Which song is better, Nobody's Supposed to Be Here by Deborah Cox or Incomplete by Sisqo? Tom?
Oh, man. I'm going to go with, I'm going with Nobody's Supposed to Be Here. It's close. I just like it just slightly better. They could go either way, though. Ed?
Y'all trying to put a brother on blast this morning. Y'all know how much I love both of those records and still talk about them to this day. But everybody also knows, it's been on record, how obsessed I was with Deborah Cox in that video. So I got to go with Nobody's Supposed to Be Here.
What about you, Montell?
Montell, let me ask you this, Montell, because we've talked to Shep Crawford and heard that Sisqo didn't even like Incomplete at first, and it almost didn't land on his album. What is the history behind that song? What did it almost not release?
Yeah, well, here's the strange thing. And understand, Shep and I, we've been lifelong friends. Like, that's my god brother. And so our journey together musically has been an awesome ride. Let me just here's trivia. Both of those records, Incomplete and Nobody's Supposed to Be Here, were not written for either of the artists that ended up singing. So actually, Incomplete was written for Michael Jackson. But trying to get a record to Michael Jackson or to Michael Jackson's people was almost impossible. Like, literally those words, even though it seems I have everything, I don't want to be a lonely fool, all of those, Michael Jackson was the only one that had everything, you know what I mean? So we wrote that from that standpoint. And when it came to Nobody's Supposed to Be Here, that record was originally written for Patti LaBelle. And Patti LaBelle did, I guess, what Sisqo did, that they didn't particularly care for the record when they first heard it. The difference was where Patti LaBelle's people were saying, you should record this, she determined she was not going to record it, and so the record made its way to Clive Davis and to Deborah Cox. In the regard to Sisqo, because we were label mates, Def Jam kind of had him do the record, but it wasn't something that he probably wanted, but eventually it's something that became, one of his biggest records as well. So both of those are great records, but neither of them was originally created, for that artist, but those artists were the ones that breathed life into the songs. And so I could never choose between the two, because to me, they both were very big records for us, and they both have meaning, one from a male standpoint and one from a female standpoint. So.
Absolutely.
Man. Now, Montell, let's talk a bit, about your, highly publicized move to the church and to gospel, kind of away from the R&B scene. I mean, you still do a lot of performing, but, haven't released an R&B album in many years, I believe over a decade. So what is it like balancing, both of those sides of things and kind of making gospel music now and still performing some R&B?
Mm-hmm. Well, I stepped out of the music business in, I want to say, December of 2010, and I went into full-time ministry. I am a born-again Christian. I am an ordained minister, a pastor of the Christian faith, and that's who I am now. And I took that time and took many years kind of stepping away from music because I had kind of made music my idol. In other words, rather than having a relationship with God that I needed, I had that relationship with music, and I made music my God. So when I needed resources, I didn't go to God. I went to my music as God. And so I had to step away from that to be able to get an affirmation or to be reacquainted with who God actually was outside of music. And so one of the greatest things that I learned in that journey from music into ministry was that music didn't make me. I made music. Music didn't define me. I defined music. And once I was able to get that back aligned several years into ministry, then I felt like God could trust me to be able to then go back into different places musically, allowing people to see who I was, but more so who I am now, the better man now, the better husband now, the better father now, the better musician, the better vocalist, the better writer that I am now, recognizing that those things didn't make me, but I made those things through something that's a gift that was given to me from God. So with that being said, this journey or this balance now of seeing me in church or leading worship or having thousands of people, on a weekend trying to direct their hearts to God. That's who I am, and that's what I do. I also get the awesome opportunity to jump on a I Love the 90s hip hop tour or a 90s kickback tour, which is an R&B tour that goes out from time to time. And I'm working alongside of peers and people that I love, Salt and Pepper, TLC, Vanilla Ice. I'm going out on Hammer's house party tour, for a couple of dates this year, where you have everybody from Kid and Play. And I just got off a tour or a couple of tour dates with my friends John B. and Case and Cut Close. And just what a great opportunity that I'm not just a pastor in a church. I'm a pastor everywhere I go. So when I'm on these tours, whether it's a hip-hop tour or an R&B tour, which is crazy that I get to be on both of those in both of those places because of my musical acumen, I also get an opportunity to take ministry outside of the four walls of the church and take it to the least unexpected places, to an R&B venue or a hip-hop venue, just to be able to say to people, man, God loves you, and you don't expect to hear that at a concert, but that's the only reason why I'm really on this show anyway, is because I believe the light of God, it doesn't just belong in the church, it belongs everywhere. And so this has been more of a blessing for me to be able to take what transformed me outside of the church into the world of music, R&B, hip-hop, and into concert venues all around the world. So if I can do it and I get an opportunity to go, I will go. And I've been able to be able to say in my shows how God has changed and transformed me, in hopes that somebody else would hear that message and not just love the music and feel nostalgic because of some old songs, but also be inspired because of a guy that they can see that's living a new life.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great answer.
So Montell, even though you've been away from R&B for a minute, the fans, they haven't forgot. I get emails all the time and tweets all the time, and especially because we told the fans that you would be on here today. They're asking about this Queen project with Tamia, Deborah Cox, and Kelly Price. R&B fans have been waiting a long time for that. Ed, hypothetically, a project like that, because we haven't heard a lot of records, what do you think of a project like that, Ed? What comes to mind?
I remember when word of that leaked out, man, it may have been about 10 years ago. It was before I moved to Birmingham. And 3 of the premier vocalists in R&B together in one project, him by Montell and Shep, all having a hand in that really had the opportunity to kind of change the game. And we had some snippets of some songs here and there, but, kind of the buzz petered out a little bit. Montell, can you tell us a little bit about what the plan was for that project and kind of where it went and how it kind of died off?
Well, it's hard to say, simply because, people they have personalities, they have their circles of influence. And so the best way I can explain it is like this. People will see me and they will say, hey, Montell, how is Genuine doing? Or how is, so-and-so doing? And the thing is, Genuine is a friend of mine, but I have a circle of influence that is my wife, my kids, my family, my church, the people I grew up with. Like, I have a whole circle of influence that I know him because musically we connected, but a lot of people think that me and Genuine and Case and Donnell Jones and John, like, we all hang out together. Like, like you think when you see Hollywood, like, you would ask, saying Brad Pitt how George Clooney is doing. Like, unless they're friends like that, Brad Pitt probably has a whole life and a whole bunch of other people and a whole circle of influence that has nothing to do with Clooney, but you see them at the award shows and you think, oh, because they're Hollywood, they're the best of friends, or because they're music, they're the best of friends, and it's really not like that. And so I think that all of these women who are astounding in their own right, I don't know if they would hang out with each other, outside. They have their own spouses, their own relationships, their own careers, their own family members and friends, and them coming together collectively would be like trying to bring something. These certain groups they've been together from childhood or from kids, and they studied together and they danced together and they learned together and they were brought up as a group and they learned how to be unified like a team or something. But when you're trying to bring three different people from three different worlds and put them together in a group, their stylings are different, their writing styles are different, their recording styles are different. It's like, you know, it's like saying, hey, why couldn't we put Michael Jackson, Prince, and this person in a group? It's like there's so much that comes along with the talent that it's not as easy as it looks. And so with that being said, when you have three astounding people that are, you know, huge on their own and in their own rights with different styles, the common thread of all of those women, outside of them having individual incredible styles, was some of the production and the writing all came from the same place. So Shep and I had a great opportunity to work with Deborah or with Tamia or with Kelly, and that's the sound and those hit records. Those are the things that tied them all together. So it just was some personalities may or may not have worked together, and it just kind of became a thing of where, you know, it's almost like waiting for Dr. Dre's, you know, album to come that never came. You know, it's that. I think it's kind of that thing. It was good to be talked about, and probably would have been a wonderful thing had it happened. I'd have been all for it, but you would have needed all of those people to be able to say, you know, how great would it have been to have a Gladys Knight, Patti LaBelle, Aretha Franklin album, right? When you think about that, that would have been amazing. Why didn't that happen? Well, because you have three different people that had three different careers, three different lives, and trying to bring those things together sometime. It's like trying to align the stars, and so sometimes it's just not, you know, it's not in the cards.
Absolutely. But how was the music for that project? Because I know you guys did do some work, and it was recorded already.
Yeah, there were some songs and some things that were demoed and recording, and kind of like those Prince songs in the vault that haven't been released. That vault is actually a real place. There are songs that, you know, I know that the beautiful side of music is a lot of times you give birth to some things and people don't necessarily ever get a chance to hear them or see how beautiful they are. Shep and I, we recorded a song with Gerald Levert called Am I Dada, and that's years and years and years ago, and then eventually he passed away, and it's a song that's never been heard before. And so there are tons of like that one, or songs that, you know, may have been recorded, you know, by Deb and Tamia and Kelly and just the world just will probably never have a chance to hear those. I've recorded songs that the world will never hear. There's just this idea, I mean, and who knows what that looks like. It's just, I can tell you that those voices together, and that would have been an amazing thing to hear.
Well, Montell, that brings up a really interesting question that's always been debated in music circles. We always hear after a Prince passes away or a Michael, and there's this vault of music, and it's this debate, should fans be allowed to see it, or should it be locked away? Because if the artist wanted to hear it, they would have released it. So what do you think? Do you think, in your opinion, if an artist passes away, should the music stay in the vault, or should it be released for fans to hear, knowing that it may or may not be the vision that they wanted?
I think, you know, of the albums I've released, I've got hundreds, maybe thousands of songs that nobody's ever heard. And I think they were not heard for a reason. I felt like either they were songs that I didn't like, there were songs I was not pleased with the performance on, there were songs I felt didn't resonate with who I was, or they may have been, for whatever reason, when you're an artist, you want to put out the best of the best. So if I put out an album of 10 songs, I may have recorded 30 songs and chose 10 because the other 20 weren't up to par. Now to want to release those not up to par songs that I thought as new releases, it may diminish, you know, the level of what someone, now they may feel differently, like, well, we just want to hear what he was working on or what he was thinking, and so that's great. But to me, whether they should be released or not, to me is, I'm more in the place of, I believe everybody should have a will. So from that standpoint, you know, I don't think it should be up to someone else to determine what someone's composition should be. Like for me, the same way I have a will for my family and for my life musically, if those things are left into my family, I want them to be able to know, hey, these are songs that were not maybe my greatest works, but they are a part of the things that I was working on, or creative ideas or bits and pieces. And if I want my family to be able to release that, I will put it in a will, because that's what I think wisdom says about intellectual property and things like that. I think a lot of people just don't think through those things. They think they'll live forever, and so they create things but don't realize that their artwork or their songs or whatever is something that could be a blessing to their family or to their future generations and to their legacy. So I'll have mine written into a will. So, when I'm gone, y'all might be gone too. I don't know, but somebody wants to hear some of these hits that's been laying around. So,
nice.
That's just my take on it.
Now, Montell, you were part of one of the greatest, in our opinion, greatest collection of R&B talent that was compiled at one point. That was Def Soul under the Def Jam label. I mean, you had yourself, Drew Hill, Kelly Price, Isley Brothers, Music Soul Child, Case. You had 112, and just so many amazing artists who were under the same umbrella at the same time. I know you eventually left the imprint, but what is your fondest memory of that time and being around so much R&B talent?
Fondest memory, that was, we actually had some really, really good times together. I would say probably one of the fond memories that I have was recording Love Set You Free with Kelly Price. That was fun because Teddy Riley had produced that, and it was a song that she had done, and us, and like I said, the entire label kind of came together to support Kelly in that. So I would say that was probably one of the fondest memories of recording and having a time with the Def Soul imprint. But all of those, the groups that you name, and I think 112 was with, just for a sec, because those are my guys too. Q Parker, that's my guy, but they were with Bad Boy. So I don't know if they ever made their way over to Def Jam, but pretty much all of the groups that you named, those were guys and girls that I had an opportunity to either write songs with or perform with or tour with, and we had great times together.
Believe it or not, 112 actually, for their fourth album, there was a big dispute at the time, them trying to leave Bad Boy. They came to Def Jam for just one album. But I think that might have been a little later than Love Sets You Free was recorded, so they probably weren't involved around that time.
Understood.
Yeah. And, Tom, you forgot about one of my favorite groups of all time, Playa, Ed.
How could I forget?
Playa, don't we?
Yeah. Smoke Digler and all those guys, they were dope songwriters too.
Yeah. So Montell, we've talked extensively about your history, and the question that everyone always asks is, will Montell ever make a return to R&B to record new music and all of that stuff? So do you foresee that happening in the future? Because I know you're back on stage or performing the hits.
It's happening. I have recorded about 7 songs already that I feel really, really great about. There's songs about relationships. There's songs that will have people moving again. I have a song called When I'm Around You that features Lecrae. There's some stuff coming, and I'm super excited about it. And you will hear it this year. And that's the extent of what I can say about it. This is not I'm in the studio, or this is an actual album project that's coming that will probably be called Masterpiece. But Masterpiece spelled Masterpeace, one word.
That's amazing, man. We're really excited to hear that. And that's coming independently,
it'll be independent. I believe it'll be independent unless somebody wants to come and be a part of that. But right now it's being recorded and written and all done independently. So, and this is the first time I've actually spoken this, so your podcast kind of has an exclusive. But it's coming. It's coming.
That's amazing, man. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, that's great news. My wife is going to hit the roof. Lecrae and Montell, 2 of her favorites.
Yeah. Two of my favorites.
Montell, I know we're almost out of time here, but just to wrap things up, two more questions for you, because this is one that I think is really interesting, especially when we look at the current state of R&B and how hip-hop and R&B has essentially fused into one. And Ed, back in the day, Montell was the master of that, taking those hip-hop influences and turning it into R&B bangers like a Let's Ride or a This Is How We Do It. Ed, can you at least share with the fans what you see as the difference between what Montell did and maybe what some of these R&B acts are doing now with these R&B bangers?
Well, I think the difference is, and I like Montell to weigh in on his end from his perspective, is Montell was able to take, he was fundamentally R&B, but he was able to take the hip-hop climate at the time, be it the Master P when he was doing his thing or going back to 95 and other records as well. It wasn't just those two. He did the joint with Slick Rick. But he was able to kind of take that and make it his own. He wasn't straight rapping. Like, he didn't rap like Master P on a Master P song. He did Montell and had other people come in to add their flavor to it. So it was a Montell R&B record with hip-hop influences. I think, in my opinion, what happens today is we have R&B artists trying too hard to go the other way. So they're actually becoming pseudo hip-hop artists, and the R&B of their art gets a little lost. So Montell, in your eyes, and I'm not sure how well you're keeping up with today's current scene as compared to your heyday, what do you think that artists are doing or shouldn't be doing when they're incorporating hip-hop into their art?
Well, I think there's a lot of validity to what you're saying. It's, for me, I was a rapper as a kid growing up, and I was a singer, and so I'm talking about being in ciphers and spitting bars and freestyling and all of that. When it came to the R&B, I was trying to find my voice, and so because I was singing and I didn't know what my voice sounded like, I was trying to sound like Charlie Wilson, or I was trying to sound like Aaron Hall, or I was trying to sound like, a bunch of different artists. And so the only way I was able to find my voice was to use the hip-hop influence of taking rap lyrics and then singing them. So I reach for my 40 and I turn it up. Designated driver, take the keys to my truck. That's rap. But then I would add music to it. Designated driver, take the keys to my truck. And so my style developed from taking rap type of lyrics and then adding melody to them. I think that also because at that time period, R&B and rap did not cross. When I had This Is How We Do It came out, a lot of stations wouldn't play. Once Upon a Time in '94, Montell, they took the rap out and they only played the R&B version of it. So
they sure did.
What we did with Def Jam and with the style of music I was doing was people didn't know what I was doing. They couldn't tell if I was rapping or singing because I was sounding like Slick Rick on some places. And so rather than taking it out, I kind of became a bridge between, for good or bad, I kind of bridged the gap between radio stations starting to play hip hop more because if they like This Is How We Do It and the people like that song, they couldn't tell if it was a rap song or if it was an R&B song. And then it became a pop song. So how that translates to what people are doing today, I think you don't have to have guys that really can sing today. I think you have guys that have great stylings and they got drip and they got flavor, and swag and all of that. And so they don't have to really be true vocalists. They got bars, and if they can sing their hooks or if they can, I think what was great for me was I could rap, but I also partnered up with rap artists to bring R&B and hip hop together. At some point, the artist became, I will be the rapper and the singer on a record, and I don't have to be necessarily good at either. But if I can create something that people like, people don't have to buy into their artistry. They can buy into the song. And I think that's the major difference today. Back then, you either bought into who Montell Jordan was, not just the song. Today, you like a song, and I don't necessarily know the artist or who they are or what, or what they're doing, or if something else comes out and I don't like it, then they're gone because I didn't buy into the artistry. I bought into the song.
That's a great point.
Yeah. And then, Montell, final thing before we let you go, just real quick. We ask this to every artist who joins us on this podcast. Two of the favorite artists of this podcast are Musiq Soulchild and Keith Sweat. If you had to choose only one of those two artists to listen to, who would you choose?
Keith Sweat.
My man.
And I love music. Dude, like myself and music, together, we're like sons when it comes to Keith. Like Keith got, he's from New Jack. Like he's got extensive catalog. He's got hits. He made groups. I couldn't, just from a repertoire standpoint, like I love music, but they're not like in the same category to me. I couldn't put myself in that category. Like to me, Keith is like he's that dude I look up to, like, being on the stage with Keith and being on the stage with music. I feel like music is more of a peer. Keith to me is more like a dope uncle. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's different. There's a difference from hanging out with your cousin and hanging out with your uncle. Your uncle got just a little bit more. And no disrespect to music. Music is dope. But, to me, that's like comparing. Yeah, you got to make more legitimate comparisons there. Keith is he's a boss in this thing. So that's just me. That's my opinion. So.
Fair.
Well, your opinion is right, by the way, Montell. You're right.
Okay. Awesome.
All right, Montell, before we say goodbye, is there anything you'd like to add?
I would just say June. Look out June 2019 for a Masterpiece project. And like I said, the first single is called When I'm Around You. It features myself and my friend Lecrae, who's also a fraternity brother of mine in Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, the greatest fraternity in the world. And it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. I think people will be appreciative of the new music. I'm not trying to be anybody that I'm not. But I think it's going to be relevant, and people are going to really enjoy not just what God has done in me, but musically where the direction that I'm headed. So
awesome, man. Well, Montell, thank you once again so much for joining us. You've been an awesome guest. We really appreciate you sharing some insights, some history, and also filling us in on the new music. We can't wait to share this with our readers. We know they're going to be excited too. So, man, just know you got our support, and glad to see you keep it going.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your audience and your influence, okay?
Now, Tom, I know you're running short on time, but I think we still got 3 minutes here. So I think we can squeeze in this R&B trivia if you want to just be here to ridicule Ed for a bit.
Go.
All right, Ed. Are you ready for this R&B trivia?
I am always ready, player. What you got?
So, to give you a little bit of backstory, a couple of weeks ago we did an R&B trivia with yourself and Tom. I gave you 3 Keith Sweat songs and Tom 3 Musiq Soulchild songs, and I asked you to guess what albums they were from. Do you remember this trivia?
I remember, and I remember you cheating very well for Tom, and I still came out on top.
Astonishingly and shockingly, Ed was able to name all 3 Keith Sweat songs and what projects they were from. You know what? That crowned you as the king of R&B, but I have another quiz here to test your knowledge, and if you get these right, if you at least get one right, I will crown you the emperor of R&B, because Tom couldn't get it.
The emperor of R&B. All right. Now I'm hyped.
So, those same 3 records that we talked about previously, those 3 same Keith records, we asked you what album they were from. Now I'm going to really test your knowledge, because, Ed, you actually listened to the albums, right?
Yeah.
And sequencing is very important to you, right?
Very.
So if I name the record, can you tell me the song that comes before that song on the album?
Oh my God, no.
We're going to do it.
But I can try.
Tom, are you ready?
This is stupid. I got none right. It wasn't even close, but who would know
There's
this?
no way I'm going to get this.
All right, let's do this. So the first record is Let Me Love You. What's the song that comes before that? And you can't Google because Tom and I believe you Googled last time.
No, Mike. Well, of course you would say you Google because you're a couple of haters. Like my hands aren't even near the keyboard. What I'm doing is I'm trying to like visualize the actual album. and the track listing, because if I feel like I can picture what's on the album, I could do it. But I'm struggling. It's not. I'm just gonna say "Why Me, Baby." I don't know. It's probably not right.
Tom, holy crap.
What is right?
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Way off.
All right. Next song we have Tom's favorite song, Hood Sex. What comes before that, Ed?
And he was making fun of music for not using the complete sentences for song titles. He has a song called Hood Sex. Come on.
Wait,
Man.
is this...
Alright.
On a side note, Tom, Ed, is this song about having sex in the hood or, like, car sex?
It's not about having sex on top of a transformer. Calm down. Do Love Tonight? I mean, Do Wrong Tonight?
The song...
Whatever it is.
Actually, that is correct. Wow.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It is correct. Do Wrong Tonight. I'm dead serious. Go Wikipedia that. It's the song after it.
What? I'm hyped. I'm hyped. No one can stop me.
Wow. And then the last one, because I think Tom is already dying. The song Some More. What came before that?
Playa. No, this is.
You're not gonna know.
Hard.
You're not gonna know that because first of all, Some More is a bonus song.
Yeah,
And,
it was a bonus song. So basically, you're asking like, what was the last song on the album? Unless there's another bonus song that I'm forgetting. There was another.
It's another bonus song. It's called Shh. Here we go again.
Oh, that was my song. Oh, I could have got that.
It's all good.
I love
guys,
that song.
I think for sure we're gonna have more R&B trivia to come, and hopefully we'll get these guests to do it as well. But until then, Tom, what's going on with YouKnowIGotSoul.com?
A lot of new music is coming out. It's been a good year for R&B. We got some stuff going on. A lot of news that's been coming out too. New albums. John B. and Donnell's video shoot. John B. shouted us out on Instagram if you didn't see that. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. Check it out.
Ed, what's going on with Soul in Stereo?
We're hanging in there at Soul and Stereo. I was under the weather about a few days ago, so things kind of slowed down a little bit, but your boy is back in action. Go check out that review of Solange's album When I Get Home, so you can get a little bit more in-depth thoughts on that. And Kyle's favorite, the love letters, are back, so we got a few questions from the community talking about what they got going on and me doing my usual ranting. That's about it.
Cool. And as far as me, not much is going on, but guys, I know I promised in the beginning of this interview I wasn't going to give R. Kelly a Playa Please, but here is the Playa Please for this week. We're giving it to R. Kelly because after he got out of jail, he went straight to McDonald's. Either jail is really bad, but he still should have gone somewhere better to eat. Not McDonald's. Come on, guys.
Look, player, I know you aren't talking. The man, the fast food king. If you got locked up, the first thing you do is hit McDonald's. And we already know Kelly's money is funny. Listen, that great value meal goes a long way.
Absolutely. So, guys, I think that's it for this week. Before we get into any trouble, I want to thank Montell for joining us on the podcast. Great segment there if you missed out on it. But I guess that's it for this week. I'm going to go grab a Big Mac and hang out with the Pied Piper. So I'll see you guys next week.
Well, good luck there. And we'll have to be putting you in therapy soon enough.
30 years, Ed. 30 years. Peace.
Peace.
All right.